أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداع إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. I hope my brothers and sisters you're having a great Ramadan. I know it's a different Ramadan, not as the usual Ramadan that we've always had, and it's a test in itself. And today when we're at home and we're living alone, at times we do get lazy, and when we don't have community around us, we do find it very difficult to keep carrying on with ibadah. And today I want to bring an ayah from the Quran which actually warns us against being lazy. And at the same time, it was a great story for one of the Sahabas of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who himself mentions this story in Bukhari. And a great story. It's a story about three people who actually stayed behind, and that was out of their laziness. In particular, it was procrastination, and they said they will do that. They will reach Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and participate in the battle, but unfortunately they did not get there. But they showed a lot of resilience after that and a lot of truthfulness after that. And so I want to jump straight into the ayah, and this ayah is ayah number 118, and it's mentioned in Surah Tawbah. And if you know Quran really well, Surah Tawbah is a surah predominantly about the war and the war booty and the gains and the rules of engagement and the likewise. And also the surah mentioned and starts with Tawheed. So very quickly jumping on to the ayah that I want to mention today. The ayah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَعَلَى ثَلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا, and those three persons who were kept behind. So these are the three people that you need to remember. Ka'b ibn Malik was one of them, and Hilal ibn Umayyah was one of them, and Murara ibn Rabi'a was one of them, radiyallahu anhum ajma'een. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, حَتَّى إِذَا ضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, until the land became constricted upon them, and despite its vastness, they found their lives becoming very constricted. وَظَنُّوا أَلَّا مَلْجَأَ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا إِلَيْهِ, that and they realized that there was no refuge whatsoever, and the only way was to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed His kindness towards them by forgiving them, by accepting their tawbah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is of forgiving, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what we do in our lives, when we return back to Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always forgive us. There's a great message in this surah which will come in the later ayah, which speaks about truthfulness. And they all showed a great they did show a high caliber of truthfulness, and they were truth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were true to themselves, and when the time came. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next ayah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen, that, O believer, continually fear Allah, and be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remain with the truthful. So very quickly, just want to give you some excerpts from the story that we can take away. See, brothers and sisters, understand, we are humans and we get distracted. We get distracted by many things around us. So one of the biggest things that is in our life is procrastination. We try to do things and we keep parking things, you know. I'm going to achieve it, I'll do it now, I'll do it later. You know, it's only going to take a little while. We've done it many times at work, at home. You know, we've got something pending, it's not urgent, but what do we say? You know what, I'll do it tomorrow. And then the time comes, it becomes really urgent, becomes really important, and we're not able to do it. One of the biggest examples, I mean, we've all been through studies. I mean, when it comes to assignments, when it comes to all these other things that we are trying to do in our lives, I mean, we find that we have a lot of time until we feel so constricted and we've got nothing left, and now we just think if we're not going to do it, you know, we're not going to be achieving anything. And that's what it is, brothers and sisters. Understand, our laziness, our lethargy and procrastination could be the decisive thing between us going to Jannah and us going to Jahannam. And so really we should be people, Muslims should be people, and Ramadan is there to make us those people that were really alert, that we're always on top of things. We're really doing, you know, we're really getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trying to do things at its time. You know, when you talk about urgency, we all wake up in Fajr. We know we cannot be lazy. We have to be waking up in a particular time to have suhoor. And if we miss that time, we're not going to be able to eat. And we know that when our salah teaches urgency, when the time for prayer comes, and we keep on delaying it, so many times we've found that we're so close to the other time of salah, and we feel bad. But then we do have to pray, and sometimes we also miss our prayers. So our life as a Muslim life and things around us teaches us urgency. So very quickly, I'm going to summarize the story in a couple of minutes for you to know the background of the story. So this was the time when Muslims are going to Tabuk. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered everyone to come, no matter who you are, except you've got an excuse. If you're looking after an elderly parent, or if you are if you have any disability yourself, that's the only time you don't have to come. But apart from that, everyone had to be there. So now Ka'b bin Malik said, you know what, I've got a fast horse, I'm going to be there in no time. And he let the army left, and he kept on saying, you know what, I'll get there. And the time came that the news was coming in that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming back with the army, and in no time they came back. And now he was really upset, and he kept on thinking, what an excuse I'm going to give. The hypocrites went to the masjid. This is the habit of Rasulullah. Whenever he came back from a journey, may Allah allow us to have this habit as well. So he went to the masjid. Everyone's giving their excuses. He went and he said, I thought about many excuses, but when I saw the face of Rasulullah, I said the truth. And when I said the truth, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked at me and he said, this person said the truth. And everyone else did not, because a lot of hypocrites were coming. Oh, this happened, that happened. And you know, we give excuses in our lives. I mean, when we miss our assignments on time, we send emails, I was sick, and we get all these sick you know, certificates from the doctors, and even at work, or someone's sick, or I can't come in, and all that lethargy that kicks in. So after that, he said Rasulullah ordered everyone not to speak to 3 people, because I found there was another 2 people, which is Hilal ibn Umayyah and Murara ibn Rabi'. So after that, when we found this, I was really upset. I would go to the masjid, no one would speak to me, and it carried on like that. And then when the 40th day came, Rasulullah ordered that the wives should be separated from us, and asked their wives to go back to their home. And I felt really constricted. And then even in this time, the king of Ghassan actually sent one of the messengers to me that your messenger has deserted you and come to us, we'll look after you, we'll give you money, and he understood that was another test from Allah, and he said, I burned that letter straight away. I put it in the oven and I burnt it. And until there was a time that two people were coming, he says, they're running towards me. This is the 50th day. Imagine, brothers and sisters, going through this trauma for 50 days and then having no respite whatsoever, living in the time of Rasulullah, being humiliated, no Sahaba speaks to you, no one returns your salams or anything like that. And then the time is coming, he says, a rider and a person was running. The one who was running, he was faster than the rider, and they're coming, Abshir, 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 and they're saying, good news, good news. And they said the ayah came down. He said, I was so happy. I had nothing on me. The qamis that I was wearing, I took it off and I gave it to the one who was running towards me. And that was it. And Rasulullah, I was so happy to be forgiven. And so really, the message that I want to tell you from this is one important message. We should not be procrastinating no matter what. We are people, and understand that. We will get lazy. There will be a time we'll feel lethargic, but understand the urgency in our life is very important. Don't park things. You know, there is in a famous story, an old man comes and he's about to die, a really wise old man, and people say, give us an advice. He said, فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ سَوْفَ. And he said, give us advice. فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ سَوْفَ. And he said, beware of tomorrow. Beware of doing things later. Beware of later. So we know the Arabic word sofa actually means in future. And he says, beware of that. When you have things on your hand, do it now and try to finish it as soon as you can. And one of the other things that we learn from procrastination, Shaitan wants us to procrastinate. The hadith in Ibn Majah, Sheikh Albani rahimahullah ta'ala says it's sahih. Allah, the angel that sits on our left hand and who writes our bad deeds, whatever we do, this angel does not write a deed for 6 hours. Now understand what a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards us. If we only asked for forgiveness within those 6 hours, and if we did not show lethargy and procrastinated, we would not even have that bad deed written on for us. And this angel waits for 6 hours. And this is a sahih hadith. Shaykh Albani rahimahullah ta'ala says it's a hadith, he makes it authentic. And he mentioned, and it's a great blessing of Allah that we should be people and showing urgency at all times. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to become people who show urgency. There are not many days left. We're getting into the last 10 days. There's a really time that we show our urgency in order to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفر الله إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.